Hey guys, how you doing? First off, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's still supporting me, who still clicks subscribe, even if you're not viewable or you're not commenting. Just thank you. There's a space of eternal gratitude that opens up from within me, and just many blessings to everyone out there who's on this journey. There's a lot detaching right now still from stories, and I'll leave it there. There's a lot of detachment stories from where we were to where we're at now, what's coming in the future. And so there is this space of creating a lot of space for ourselves to really find the uniqueness of who we are in this lifetime, in this now. And, changes. All right, guys. So we're going to do a reading right now for someone. Who's this for? Who is this message for? What is this message for? All right, universe, who are we reading for today? Oh, we're reading for the lovers. So we're reading for, this is either friends, relationships, partners. This could be a reflection of self and parts work as well. We are reading for the lovers. What do we need to know about the lovers? What do we need to know about the lovers today? Family, beloved family. What do we need to know about the lovers? Wow. There is this sense right now, just with the way the cards are, it's a process. Ooh. Feeling whole and complete just as you are, rather than always fractalizing yourself and giving a fractal to other people. This is you whole and complete just as you are. Okay, so there is a space of unity found within the lovers, which is the unity within self and how that expresses through the field. There's a sense that there is this, as one door closes, another one opens. And when I see the World card, I see her levitating through this experience like a pass-through point, like a threshold, which means that there is another realm, another universe, another chapter. Whether this chapter is with someone, it's a new perspective. There's obviously a pass-through point in the journey, or what's coming through is an elevation that's occurring through the World card. It's that space of uniquely whole just as you are and unified. And the universe support in you achieving your goals and reaching the state of completion and feeling whole and complete just as you are. This is the unified self. The unified self, and as it expresses through others, in our own community, with our neighbors, with our friendships. Woo! Awakening. Right now, this is actually an elevation and an ascension that's going through with the Judgment card. Give me a second here. Yeah, there is something rising to the surface that's a part of this whole new experience. It feels like, in senses, like there is a chapter of self and a chapter with the way we relate to others in our own gateway that's going through an elevation. It takes me back to Pluto and to transformation, because Judgment is bringing in that Pluto scorpionic energy, and it is something is coming to the surface because a change or a shift needs to occur. In regards to this Judgment, please. Wow, this is really brilliant. You're being led to a very good place in your life. This is a life outside of suffering. The clarion call is that there is a chapter that has been completed in regards to your own suffering, and where you can kind of meet back into that rainbow bridge of unity. It feels like there have been chapters in which the lovers have felt separated from community, separated from tribe, separated from better days. It's kind of like feeling like you've been locked in a storm cellar, and as a result, you're being released into heaven on earth. being released into the space of unity and oneness, and feeling like you can be whole and complete in your friendships, whole and complete in your partnerships. This is a journey saying better days are ahead. This is a space where light is coming back to dense and dark places within you so you can understand what the world of fulfillment is. This is a space that really is, it's not just the theory of unity. Like, it's not just a theory of unity or a discussion of unity. Like, this is a space where you're really going to start feeling that whole soul light fulfillment coming in for you. Because this completion is a part of this release. It's a part of this ascension. It's a part of this evolution. And the evolution is not of that you are part or broken, but rather whole. It feels like right here, there is a sense that which you've been locked out of, you're being brought into so you can align with the feeling of what the heavens are from within you. There's this sense of like you're being brought back into this healthy space. Like you're being brought back into this wonderful world. That there is a life path of suffering or lack or feeling like you're not a part of, in which the light is being brought back and being shown to you how much is available, how good you do have it. It's like, it's a moment of gratitude that's softening the lenses. So we can release ourselves from the harshness of older conditions and the harshness of older realities. This is, in a sense, it's not just the salve of the hurts, right? It's not just the thing that balms the wounds in BALMS. Like it's not like something that you put on and just alleviates pain. This is something where there's an actual repair that occurs in which you're brought back to a really good place in your own journey. It does feel like a space where you're being divinely guided. More opportunities to meet with friends, with community, to feel charitable. There you go. And then the Empress. So much nurture and care available here. There is definitely something that's healing in the divine feminine collective. Especially in regards to dogmas, especially in regards to churches, rules. I feel like there's a level of care and compassion that is showing up right now for self and for others and for the parts that have been in exile. That they're going to start seeing that within this completion, within this ascension, within this awakening right now, that there's more out there. That there's better opportunities. There's more light ahead. Like, it feels like we're in the precipice of being able to see some really, really beautiful moments show up for us. Especially those who have felt left out in the cold, who have felt kind of locked away, who felt like they're walking through a lot more hardship than they need to. This completion is saying you're being released from it. You're being released from that storm drain. You're being released from the harshness of that experience so things can get lighter and softer. And the Empress is the reminder of what this mother kind of frequency, mother energy is, which is it's about caring, it's about hope, it's about nourishment. It's like we're really receiving the nutrients of the soul and the nutrients of your emotional state so you can get to better and better days. You're being released from constricting or limiting narratives so you can fully express and embody what it is to truly feel like you have it all or you are worth more in this journey, especially when it comes to the Empress energy. You know, it does feel like this kind of Venus love experience is bringing up like a sense of vitality and renewal from within you that gives you an opportunity to feel more hopeful, to feel like life is worth living. almost remembering from within you what you do have. Like, it's a moment of gratitude. It's a moment of thanks. And when I see the golden wheat and I see this kind of fertility energy, it is one that is abundant, it's flourishing, it's resourceful. It is very much so like an I can attitude. It feels like a lot of gratitude. Whatever burdens you're being released from, gratitude returns, and the love starts to really, it's no longer like heady love, but that really deep feeling that love is actually here. That love is the answer. That love is the solution. That whatever cycle you're breaking through, whatever pass-through point is occurring, there's another awakening right now. And it's where you bring the rainbow light, right? Where you bring the rainbow light to the colder places of your reality, or the colder aspects of self, especially the ones that have been hurt, that have been judged. They're going through their healing. They're going through their reclamation. Their poverty is becoming abundance. This is an actual cycle transmutation and transfiguration that's occurring. That's bringing back a very stable divine mother kind of an energy that's letting you know you can flourish in this lifetime. You can be healed. You can return to vitality. You are safe in this world. You know, you're allowed to have a family. You know, for some of this is those kinds of, like, these are those miracle moments where, like, let's say that there has been, you know, for instance, a woman that's been infertile is going to have that opportunity now to be able to have a child. We're going to see people who have been stuck in lack cycles for so long start to get, you know, a good head on their shoulders and get a really grounded, practical plan on how to live life. They're going to start seeing things show up for them. For those people who felt less than, they're going to start feeling a part of. There's going to be a sense of really feeling like no matter where you're at in your journey, you do have more than you recognize. And that moment brings in a lot of peace. It brings in a sense of like that Regulus divine royalty kind of an energy where the underdog rises up into a space of feeling like life is worth fulfilled. Like we're no longer the fringe dwellers or the ones that are sitting on the outside circle, right? Not allowed into life. This is like a chapter where we're starting to allow life in and feeling like, you know, the broken home is fixed and repaired. That you're allowed back into your family, whether this is your spiritual family, whether this is your cosmic family, your star family, your bloodline family, paternal and maternal. You're being allowed back into a space where you can really get excited for life again. And allowing these really beautiful, enriching, and wealthy opportunities show up for you. And wealth doesn't always mean the money. It's something that also brings in, it's the health component, right? And I state that because we don't want to exclude money from this experience, right? Five of Pentacles is a lack card. We don't want to exclude money and just go, oh, it's just all about the good feelings. It's not just that. But some of this here is actually recognizing how good you do have it. And within this feels like we're connecting to a healthy space within our own divine feminine energy, right? That's gifting you an opportunity to not feel like you're left out in the cold, like you've been abandoned, like you're in the dark ages. There's a transmutation and transfiguration. It's returning to light. It's returning to light. So there's been some sort of conflict, right? There's been some sort of conflict. There have been people that have been at odds with one another, seeing creation in a different way, right? This is usually some sort of anger or conflict that's been built up as a result of this feeling locked out, feeling left behind. Perhaps feeling like you got to compete for attention, compete in your own relationship, even if you've been competing in your own family. Right? If it's been like that, especially if you've got multiple brothers and sisters, especially if we're looking at the family card, and especially in the soul family, right? If there's been quarrels, these quarrels are what about these quarrels actually? Let me see what's going on with these quarrels. Because this original spread feels like it's one message, and the quarrels feel like it belongs to it, but it's not the entire message. So what's going on with these quarrels and this conflict? Pentacles in this conflict. Oh. Woo! Okay. Wow. You know, here's the thing. There's been masking. The conflict is that there's been masking in the past. So this can be, how do I put this? Give me a second here. Let me get into the wording and the reframing of this. So in our relationships, there's been layers of deception that have really greatly affected us. And it reminds me of the masking of identity that can show up kind of with like the same thing as a poisoned plant. This kind of feels like a Trojan horse energy. And the Trojan horse is kind of like, the conflict has been that it shows up as love, but it tastes completely different. And what I'm saying is that there have been experiences in which deception has occurred, right? Deception in the lovers, false soul family, if we want to go into that. True or false is still dualized, right? But it's something that's coming up. So the lovers card, if there have been people who you're like, oh, that's going to be my soulmate, that's going to be the romantic lover, whatever it is, and they show up in their mask or in their illusion, a lot of this conflict is about that facade, and in which that which we thought was going to be healthy for us, it was going to be loving, kind, and compassionate, became some form of poison. And it's because, once again, death card still represents that disassembly of a dogma and a tradition. So when I see this with the Five of Pentacles here, there's obviously some sort of dogma that is cleansing so love can return, which means that at some level we have believed, I've been noticing this too in myself, like there was a moment where I was guided to return to an aspect of self I don't identify with, I never have. But it's because within that lineage, something in that lineage completely clears out some dogmas that got in the way from ancient realities. So there has been these ripples and echoes of things that have an effect. I know for me it was the Vedas. I don't know anything about the Vedas, but when I was asked by my soul this morning to connect back to the Vedas, they said there's something in the Vedas, in the ancient Sanskrit, that brings in something. And a part of that is the Rishi, a part of that is the solar identity, and a part of that is the soul identity. Now, I know for myself it's been kind of an issue believing everything. Even as I'm speaking this, I feel the pain in my sacral chakra, right? Where we've gone through some really harsher times, right, in regards to some of these experiences. Obviously, there is something that is being obliterated and we're being released from, and it has to do with dogmas. So when I speak of dogmas, any house, whether it's religion, tradition, from polytheism, monotheism, any form of theology, somewhere, there has been a construct or a consciousness that when humans chose to embody it, it became a rule. And that rule echoed and reverberated and affected us. It affected our family. It affected our love. It affected our unity. It affected the parts work. It affected the twin. It affected the soulmate. It affected so much. So this encapsulates a very big portion and chunk of the reality, right? Things like Sodom and Gomorrah, things like some of these really big kind of like archaic parts work all the way back to the ancient gods, right? The original gods, and where we chose to separate. So essentially this conflict has to do with the fact that there are things that would show up that weren't healthy for us, and we're getting to the experience in which this has affected our own carbon body, our own molecular makeup, where we have trashed and thrown out things that are really a part of an enriching life based upon some of us, our own ancestral history, right? Like there are wars that are being cleansed and claimed, right? That have been spoken into the universe, that have been embedded and scryed into the land, have been embedded and scryed into our fields and even into our DNA, that don't harmonize with the full clarity of who we all are within Creator, within our own origins. Okay. So as a result, this completion and this ascension, this revelation, the song that guides us back to our space is guiding us back to a space of fulfillment, and one in which we can begin to trust again. Because once again, it's like at some level, the conflict that we have with the lovers is perhaps you are the one who in that storyline, you drank the poison. Perhaps you are the one, right, who drank from the cup, drank from the love, or took in this experience, right? I mean, for some of us, this is the same thing as like, maybe you are the one who drank the Kool-Aid, right? Hi, welcome to my story. You're talking to someone who drank the Kool-Aid too. We drank the Kool-Aid and it wasn't what we thought it was. Well, a part of this conflict is where the resolution comes in, where we bring light back to this place. We bring love back to these darkened senses of our experience. We reclaim our sense of self, right? It really truly is the fact that there are things that we've gone through in this lifetime that have been in a constant state of transformation, back to when we were talking about this kind of Scorpio Pluto transformational energy that happens with judgment, right? The being released, the ascension, the seeing of things is not only is it freedom and liberation, but it's a space of clarity, right? And what rises to the surface is a part of what this transfiguration, transmutation is, right? The thing that comes back to a higher elevation point or a higher octave. Now, we recognize, though, that the conflict and the players within this conflict, we all drank something. We drank the Kool-Aid. And perhaps what it brought in was something that wasn't super fun for us. You know, this to me feels like a Romeo and Juliet conditioning. Total lover's card, right? False sense of romance. It's like you go in and you play in this, everything is destructive, right? Love leads to dark places, you know. Whatever that reframing of love is, it's asking for a gentle evolution to guide you to a place where you can start trusting your relationships, trusting your family again. Because yeah, this was a bitter potion or a bittersweet symphony that you've been a part of, but it's something that we signed up for, agreed to, so we could learn about it more. Whew. Temperance. You know, a part of this that's coming through is this is where we create space from the story. Temperance right now is bringing up the separation. And it's so funny because we're talking about so much of unity and things coming together, but the separation is where we start to separate the oil from the water. This dilution is a part of clarity. We're getting the old story out. We're kind of detoxifying or cleansing that old story because something is coming to light for us. You know, so much of this Sagittarian energy is bringing up what freedom and liberation is. The ability to walk on our own 2 feet. The ability to feel comfortable just as we are. And within this, it's reminding me of a space in which we were always... we weren't able to fully expand. Temperance is taking me to Jupiter, and it's taking me to expansion. And what I'm seeing is that there was something very limiting about the older self and the chapters that were cleansing out. That's bringing in this space of our ability to expand once again, our ability to see the light, our ability to become one with these parts of self that do belong together. And it feels like it's a harmonizing point in our journey to step outside of this history so we could really start to see clearly the benevolence of our being. You know, it's kind of like it's a symbology, and it is a little bit of a metaphor that, like, a part of this awakening is our senses coming online, so we can very much so... You know what this reminds me of? Here's what this reminds me of. And this is kind of like... This is the best symbology I can provide here. is it's the same thing as like when your flavonoids start to wake up post-smoking. So if you've ever quit smoking and you really start to taste things, you start to become very, very clear how meals and interests in things change when we start giving up the things that dull or suppress or limit our senses. So in a sense here, this is the same sentiment, is that whatever part of the chapter is closing, or whatever story is leaving, or whatever is detoxifying or purifying from our reality, from our environment, from our bodies, from our relationships, from our lives, is also awakening something that's giving a lot of clarity in our own salience, in our own sentience, in our own abilities, in our own cognition. It is very, very, very clear that essentially we were drinking from a poisoned cup, and as a result it's getting clear what's right for us now. So all of this symbology, all of this metaphor is actually coming through as a sense of saying we're getting very clear on what's healthy for us and not healthy for us in regards to our relationships, in regards to the clearing of this dogma, in regards to this conflict, in regards to separating ourselves from the old story so we can get very clear on what's moving forward. Perhaps there was so much that we were doing, we were a part of in the older chapters that was actually very limiting. It was very limiting. It was running a lot of black. It was running a lot of I'm not allowed in there. It was like the same thing is like, you know, I can't sit at that table at lunch because I'm not worthy of it, or like I can't go hang out with those people because I'm not cool enough. Like this is the kind of attitude or belief system that's running. And essentially it's like, no, you're always been a part there, but we were running some sort of dogma that wasn't allowing us out of the cave. It wasn't allowing us out of the basement. We put ourselves at ground floor or at that lower vibrational state because we were essentially looking for the key to unlock us. And this is saying the key is here. It's a part of what's ascending in this now, which means it's a part of what's coming to the surface. And it's a part of very clear about your own divine perfection, your own honesty, your own recipe over right and wrong in regards to the Lover's card, whatever this is for you. This is showing up in so many ways that this general reading is saying that the Lover's card is representing something very clear to you in regards to healthy relationships, in regards to healthy connections. Perhaps there are cinemas, movies, dogmas, rules, things that you believe to be true that you wrote into the sands of time to say, yeah, this is the way it is. And you're like, oh, this actually is very, very unhealthy. Perhaps this is the whole twin flame program, right? I too had to recognize that for myself, if I have, which I do believe at times, I have a masculine and feminine side of me, it is me. It's not within the arms of someone else. My pieces aren't in the hands of another person, and to not give my keys and my power away to another person, right? It doesn't mean that I'm not going to have a romantic relationship in this lifetime. I'm not there yet. But it means to stop giving my power, my energy, and my soul away to someone else. It reminds me of the Mastery of Love. And the Mastery of Love, he discusses in that book how, you know, he went through this whole kind of experience where he got a star. Like he went through all this love and all this experience of consciousness where he found a star. And what he did was this star was so important to him that, and he was in love with this woman, he was doing all these wonderful things, that he gave the star to her. When he gave the star to her, she broke it. Now he recognized it wasn't her fault, but he gave something really important to himself away to someone else. And they couldn't care for it like him because the teaching was about self-love. The teaching was about that love is not external of you, love is internal of you. And so whatever we have been dialing into and we're currently dialing out of in regards to friendships, relationships, the twin program, those exiled parts of ourselves that are coming back home to wholeness and into this new value, we're recognizing that, yeah, we've been drinking the Kool-Aid and we're now separating from the Kool-Aid right now to get back to that experience where you can find balance and moderation in your own life, right? It is kind of like the scales of justice. Like, I don't need to, sometimes this wake-up call is like, hey, I don't need to be suffering this much. Hey, I don't need to be hurting this much. Hey, I've been running lack programming for so long. Maybe it's time for me to really go within and to make a choice to choose more of an abundant life path. But it's one day at a time. It's not like, hey, I choose abundance and then the $1 million comes overnight. No, this is something where we every day have a choice to choose these things. So when we're rewriting our narrative, and the power's in you to rewrite this narrative, to rewrite this script, you're choosing a better life path with the Empress. You're choosing a life path. If you want to, once again, freedom, free will, autonomy, and sovereignty, if you want to choose from your own free will to have a better life, you can. If you want to choose love, you can. If you want to choose a more nurturing and fertile outcome, if you want to choose to be like, you know what? I know who I am in this lifetime. I know how powerful I am as a soul. And I'm going to bring all of my divine inheritance back, and I'm going to live out this purpose here on planet Earth. You're meant to. You know, the Empress, she wears her crown of stars and she wears her cloak. But she doesn't wear it in another world. She wears it here on planet Earth, and she sees what is available for her in her own garden. Okay. So this cosmic story is not one that is out of body. It's actually within body, and it is grounded and it's available here. So yeah, you know, Venus is a planet in the stars, but the love of Venus is grounded here, and it's here to share its light with the world, its light with others. And love isn't poisonous. Love isn't toxic. We've been drinking from a toxic container. Once again, love is not diseased. Love is not toxic. We've been in a toxic container, and what we're doing is asking for the refinement, the retuning, and the recalibration, where we cleanse ourselves from whatever narrative this is. But once again, this is in your hands because you are the unified being. The parts are within you because they return to wholeness. The chapter of ascension and elevation is that light is returning to places where you've been locked out of, and you're now being brought back into the lovers. You're being brought back to love. So this ascension of love, this bringing back to love, this return to love, is because you no longer have to fight for the poison or with the poison. Love is one. Now, love is one, but it's asking us to separate ourselves and to expand. So this is not about, you know, this isn't about DNA that suppresses. This isn't about things that make you smaller. This isn't about, you know, bringing in an activation that just brings you back into a lack loop. Right? This is actually you being able to expand, to flourish, and to go through some sort of kind of like purification and or alchemization, right? That's bringing in the strands that bring you back to love, that bring you back to your, you know, your higher self, to your oversoul, to that monadic self. This is the gateway of you being a very powerful and loving being, and this is you getting your wings back. So whoever clipped your wings in other lifetimes, you're getting your wing back. You're getting your expansion back. You're getting your ability to be able to refine the quality of life and to essentially embody this level of what I would want to say is a multidimensional mastery, because you recognize that there was some sort of Kool-Aid you were drinking that you're uncloaking from, right? So whatever this mask or this mimic is, this thing that shows up as love, but is basically the Reaper, the Grim Reaper, right? You're separating yourself from that experience. You're purifying. You're purifying. And so your ocean returns, King of Cups. So you stand unswayable, and so you stand steady in the vastness of all that you are. This is a really incredible reading for remembering that from this expanded state, from this grounded state, you are embodying an ineffable quality of life that will no longer make you small, but rather help you to expand and to grow and to flourish. You know, Neptunian energy, it is basically back to that space of really bringing the soul back, bringing the spirit back. It feels like there's a part of your story that's closing the dogmas and really feeling the enrichedness of what's available in an expanded soul, expanded, I want to say spiritual and energetic container that's gifting you an opportunity to receive the love and to hold steady in all that you are. This is a stabilizing force of love that is unswayable. And so once again is that for a while, this resistance that you've been working out in the field or in your own grids was a compartmentalized conditioning that's being brought to the surface, being brought to the light. So you can kind of weave this thing out of the field so you can get out of the toxic story of the older chapters to find the new and healthy you with a refined quality of life. But it requires a not so polarized way of experience. This is saying get out of the extremes. Temperance is all about don't go too far left or too far right. It's middle path, right? Especially if you've been playing in any form of dualism, right? It's like, just be aware of the dualism, find the gray, and be within the gray. Flow within the gray. When you flow within the gray, you're going to find grace, and that's where you're going to flow with a whole new momentum, right? So there's a self-assured quality of you that is going to be able to sit at the throne with a heavy level of compassion, because you recognize the more you separate from this, the more your heart comes back online. The more of your source-aligned heart comes back. The more you clear whatever toxic density has been built up in the field and in the energetic reality, there's a whole new level of oneness and unity that's showing up for you. Once again, it's not a theory. It's not a theory. It's an entire state of being that's opening up to a greater level of expansion, and one where you can harmonize from the space of not only compassion, but unconditional love. So on the board, we're seeing Venus influence. We're seeing a Pluto and a Venus influence. We're seeing a Neptune influence. We're seeing a Sagittarian influence here. And we are seeing, the Lovers is bringing in a Gemini quality to this. So if this resonates, please feel free to work with that. But this does feel like, with all due respect, this is something that's a part of your internal working. And I do feel like that this dogma that's coming up to be cleansed from our reality holds a different story or narrative for each and every person that belongs to this experience or resonates with this experience. Because I feel like that this is something that has been echoed from multiple chapters, right? So we have a game of telephone we play here on planet Earth, where we take one thing and we kind of pass it, or we see these stories and these dogmas belong to multiple houses of teachings, of studies, and of religions. And so while this is a very generic message, I feel like it's going to show up perfectly for you. Because once again, there is something that we're seeing deeper within the human form, deeper within the carbon condition, deeper within our own, even in our own bloodline, that is cleansing from the reality, so we can get our wings back, so we can get our angelic nature back, so we can get our light back, so we can honor the middle path, so we can honor what has been initiated for us in this lifetime to fully retrieve, to fully see, to fully know, to fully be with. But those parts that we cleanse out are bringing in more stability. So whatever toxicity is leaving from the environment, from the reality, from your partnerships, from yourself, it's bringing in a lot more love. Like, this is the space created to create an ineffable condition and an ineffable quality of life that's going to give you an opportunity to be at the seat of your own table, to be at the helm of your own journey, to be at the realm of your choice. That's going to give you an opportunity to expand and to express and to really feel that this completion was worthwhile. And to, I want to state, please don't beat yourself up. Please hold a lot of compassion and self-love for yourself, because there's a lot of things that we've believed in regards to spirituality, in regards to energy, in regards to chakra systems, in regards to DNA, in regards to so much that is cleansing from the reality. And it's a wake-up call for all of us in our own unique and individual way. All right, I love you guys. Longer message, but may love guide you home, and may love guide you back to the wholeness, into the unity of all that you are, as you cleanse some of these toxic belief systems in regards to love, in regards to the journey moving forward. And if these are things that reshape your future, they're reshaping your future because freedom and liberation is available. And whatever you've been conflicted without, resolution is occurring, but you just got to keep separating yourself from the story. Because when I was going through this, I had a brother, I told him about it, and he's someone who I really, really trust with my heart, with my soul, with every level of my being, about this experience. And he said, Corey, remember, the story is within, the theater is without. And it reminded me that as a creator, that this story is from within me, and the playing out of that story is external of me. So there was this core responsibility and core accountability to what my inner story is, and the separation of that is not always guaranteed. It does require some sort of work and effort. And so whatever it is for you, to choose a different reality, to choose a different narrative, to separate yourself from this dogma or this experience, whatever it is, this is the thing that's leading you out of an older condition, so you can really feel like you are a part of in the greater level of experience, whether this is your soul family, whether this is your tribe, whether this is your community, or whether this is like, you know, a new earth. Perhaps this is your redefining moment of life that's bringing you back to a really, really wonderful place, especially in regards to your own soul and your own spiritual energy. I mean, with Neptune here, whatever is revolutionizing or ascending, Neptune's saying you're being welcomed back into something that's not so toxic. All right, love you guys. See you soon. Ciao.